How's it going, YouTube? Right, we're back on the camper build again today. We've got a pretty simple video, to be honest. Let's have a look what we're doing. If we have a look in the camper and go to the front, what we'll see is we've got a double seat there and a single seat there. These are just the standard seats that came in the vehicle, and as you can see, it's got the little 3-dot pattern on it. We've got a double passenger and a single driver. What I want to do is I've got a single passenger seat here. As you can see, this seat is the 3-dot pattern, just the same as the other one, so it should match in. We'll clean them up, make them nice. What I'll probably do later is I'll get both of these seats recovered, so there'll be a nice matching seat, because obviously we're going to have a lounge area in the front of the camper, and we want these two seats and the lounge seats all matching. But that's one for later. What we've got these swivel bases. I've got these CTA bases. I got them off of eBay. They're a bit more expensive than some of the other ones on eBay, but I believe these ones are a lot better quality and they're crash tested and all that sort of stuff. So what I'll do is let's get this area here cleared off. Let's get one of these swivel bases out and let's have a quick look at it. Right, in the box what we get is one of the swivel bases itself, and we get some instructions and a bag of nuts and bolts and things like that. These seat bases, as you can see, it's got this little handle that pulls it up and that enables you to swivel. So I'm assuming, without looking at the instructions, it goes this way up, because when we want to sit on the seat we can pull this handle up and then we can swivel it around. On the bottom, if we have a look, this is how it's constructed on the bottom. These are made by CTA. I got these off of eBay. I'll put a link in the description of where I got them from. Like I said before, these are a little bit more expensive. I bought them in a pair. I can't remember how much I paid, £280 I think. But I think the next job, before we do anything else, is we need to strip these seats out of the van and get it all nice and clean, because it is a bit of a mess. So what I'll do is I'll strip these seats out, and then down here, look, you can see down in all these little gaps, it's a bit of a mess. I think after the seats are stripped out, I'm going to clean all that out and get it all nice and clean, ready for the new ones to go in. And while I'm there, what I'll do is I'll just clean all the dash and everything else, and I'll make this whole cab area a lot nicer. I believe to get these seats out, there's a little bolt down there, look, and there's a bolt at the other side, and then on the back of the seats you can see that just hooks in there. So when we've undone the bolts at the front, this should just pull forward and then we should be able to lift it out. We just obviously have to be careful of any cables or anything like that's plugged in under the seats. So let's get these seats unbolted and let's get them out. $18mm socket. Right, that was super easy, exactly as I thought it was going to be. We've got two 18mm bolts at the front, and then it just hooks in at the back on those clips. So you just pull it forward and it unclips from there where you've got the front bolts out. And as you can see, the foot spacing on this passenger seat, it's the same as the driver's seat over there. The frame kind of comes out at an angle. So we've got absolutely no floor work at all that we need to do. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get this driver's seat out, and then I'm going to get all this cleaned up and ready for the new seats to go in. Right, the driver's seat is slightly different. Let's see if I can get you down to have a look. If you look down there where the handbrake is, obviously we have to take the handbrake off and put it in gear to release the pressure. But down there, we've got 3 little bolts. And what they are is a Torx bit. We've got a T40 Torx. So it's like a 6-point star. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those 3 bolts out now, and then we can remove the seat. Right, that's both the seats out now. As you can see, it's absolutely disgusting everywhere. So what I've got to do is I've got to clean all this up. I've got some of these clips broken as well, so I'm going to try and source some of those. I'll have a look on eBay later. There's one over there as well. So what I'll do is I'll take all these covers off. That one's the battery cover. This one's to get to the top of the fuel tank. I'll get everything cleaned up. I'll get all the dash cleaned up. I'll see if I can make this as nice as I possibly can. We've got here, there's some worn holes that are in the floor. I think this is a common thing with these vans anyway, no matter how old they are. So what I'll do is I'll tidy up the edges of there. I'll fill it with some Puraflex or something like that and flatten it off. And then I'll get one of those little checker plate tread plates or something like that just to stick over the top of it to give it some strength. And then when the new seats are in, I'll get one of those fitted T-shaped mats that goes in there to cover it all up and make it look all pretty. So I'll not bore you to death with this cleaning bit. I'll give it a bit of a time lapse and I'll see you back here when it's all nice and clean, and then we can start on with the seats. Right, that's it. That took a few hours. That was longer than I expected. Let's go and have a look. Hopefully you can see, because it's a bit dark and miserable outside. But there we are. That's all nice and clean now. This took quite a bit of cleaning and getting all this stuff up. Right, what I did down here is I've got a bit of matte stuff. I filled those holes up with Puraflex, and then I've stuck this down with the Puraflex. And what I've done is, off of eBay, I've ordered like a T-shaped mat to go here, one of those tailored carpet mats. I'll show you that at the end of the video, because I'll probably end up having that delivered before I actually release this video, so you can see that later when it's all in. But at least that stops that wearing out any more than what it is now. I've cleaned all the dash up, made all that look all nice, cleaned everywhere else up, so the cab's looking really nice now actually. So let's have a look at these seats. Oh, I did actually find this little clip as well, so I've managed to fasten that one back down. This one I didn't find the clip, but to be honest, once the carpet's down, it'll hold it down anyway. Right, I've opened up this bag of bolts and everything. I think what we do is, on this chair down here, we've got some little Torx bits there. I'm assuming we've got a few along this rail, so we've got to take those out. That'll split it from this base. Then the bolts that hold that down, down there, they'll hold this down. And then these nuts and bolts that we get with it, they'll go up through this hole or down with the nut on the bottom, and then we can bolt the seat down to it. This will add a little bit of height. You can buy these bases that are low profile, but to be honest, once I paid £560, I can't remember, for this seat, plus another 280 for these, it starts adding up. I think those bases are like another 150 each or something like that, so it does start to add up. But looking at this adds about 40mm of height on. So what I'll do is, once I've got those on there, we've got the seats back in the van, we'll see how it feels and see if this 40mm difference makes any sort of noticeable difference, and see if it's manageable as it is. Hopefully it is, so I don't have to buy those bases. Right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get a Torx bit and start removing these bolts here and take this seat off of this base. I'll start with this passenger one, seeing as it's here. The driver one's in the back of the van still. So let's get this split. What I've done is I've just lifted this up and pushed the seat back as far as I can so I can get to these bolts at the front. But what this is, it's a T40 Torx bit, the same as the other ones on the handbrake. So let's get these two bolts out, and then I can lift this up, move the seat forward, and we'll get the bolts out the back. I don't know how many there is, we'll find out. Right, same again with the ones at the back, and then we'll find out if that's all there is. Now these ones look like Allen keys, 4mm Allen key. I don't know what's supposed to be in here, but that's what is in here. Right, let's see if there's any more bolts in it. No, it's just those four. So let's get this seat out of the way. Right, it was just those four bolts there. So what I'm going to do while it's off is these feet here, they've got a little bit of rust on them. I'm going to get a wire brush on that, give them a clean, give them a little bit of paint with a Hammerite, and then leave them to go dry. Right, that's that tidied up a little bit. What I can do now is I can get this on, I can twist it 45 degrees, and then we can bolt this down. We'll use the original bolts, and we'll bolt that back down to this base. Remembering, of course, that this handle here wants to go at the front. Right, it's looking like this little bit here is in the way, but I've just checked the instructions again. And according to these instructions, the handle, this bit, goes on top. So to turn the seat, you need to push it down and turn it, not pull it up. So this bit's going on the top, which means that that handle there will clear this bit. So let's try again. I'll put it back how it was, with the Torx bits in the front and the Allen keys in the back. Right, so that's that. What I need to do now is get the chair, put it on there, and then get the nuts underneath, and we can bolt it through down to the chair again. What I will actually do is I'll get all 4 bolts in before I tighten them down properly. Right, there we have it. That's bolted on. It doesn't feel too high off of this ground anyway, so we'll see what it's like when it's in the van. But obviously there, if we push that red bit round, we can spin around then and spin it around to however we want. And then when we bring it back into the central position, it locks in, like that. There's one more thing at the back we need to look at. On these seats, there's a cable for this seat belt here, because this pulls in the case of an accident. But what you can do is you can drop the plug right through this middle here and then mount it to the side, so when you're spinning round it won't get wrapped up. So that's what I'm going to do. Right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get that mounted back in the van, exactly the same as when we took it out. It clips in at the back, and then put the bolts down at the front, and then I'm going to bring this driver's one out. I'm going to change the base on that, and then let's have a look at them when they're both in there. So I'll see you back in a second. Just for the information, this driver's seat, it's got the T40 bolts at the back, and it's got 2 at each side. So what I'm going to have to do is, for that passenger seat, I'll find some more bolts so it matches this, because I'm assuming this is what it should be like. Right, I'm going to get this base on and get this one back in as well. Right, there we are, there's both seats in. What I've done for now is I've got the toolbox in there, but I'll probably take that out later on because it sticks out. And up the back of these legs here, I want to fit a board across those and make it blend in with the camper a little bit more. The other side has got the tray under it, but that'll probably be coming out because that'll most likely have the diesel heater under there anyway. Probably. So let's spin these around and let's see what they look like. And there you have it, that's both seats span around. That gives a lot more room. So if I stand outside, we can see the amount of room that's going to be there for this lounge area. Obviously these seem quite high up at the minute, but there's going to be a floor going in here anyway, so we'll work out what's going on there later on. Right, that mat that I've ordered that's going in there, that'll be here before I put this video out. So what I'll do is I'll show you what that looks like right now. Right, there it is. That's that T-piece rug that's fitted in there. Fits kind of nice and it looks all right. It was really cheap off of eBay actually. So there you are, that's what it looks like. Right, so now future me's done showing you what that looks like with a mat. Hopefully that looks good, and that's another job ticked off the list. That video was probably not a super long one or a super interesting one, but I do want to kind of split up the things a little bit into each individual job. So like the video if you liked it, comment below anything you want to ask, subscribe if you want to see some more of this camper build, and I'll catch you again in the next video, whatever that might be. Cheers.